the Candyman. Every child loves candy, which makes them an easy target for kidnapping or poisoning. And to protect kids from falling into these traps, parents came up with the poison candy myth, an urban legend about strangers intentionally hiding poisons, drugs, or sharp objects such as razor blades in candy, which they then distribute with the intent of harming random children, especially during Halloween trick-or-treating. These urban legends are not new. They have been going on for generations, dating back to the Industrial Revolution. Claims that candy was poisoned or adulterated gained general credence during that time, when food production moved out of the home or local area, where it was made in familiar ways by known and trusted people, to strangers using unknown ingredients and unfamiliar machines and processes. Some doctors even publicly claimed that they were treating children poisoned by candy every day. If a child became ill and had eaten candy, the candy was widely assumed to be the cause, without any evidence. Due to their fears, parents and communities restricted trick-or-treating. They developed alternative safe events, such as trunk-or-treat events at Christian churches, especially during the 1960s and 1970s, a time of social upheaval and racial integration when neighbors didn't trust each other in new neighborhoods. Although the poison candies were just urban legends, and no such case of strangers poisoning children was reported, until the Halloween night of 1974. Ronald Clark O'Brien was an ordinary man who was a church-going father, a choir singer, and even a deacon who ran a bus program for his local congregation in Deer Park, Texas. But behind his respectable image, with many bad decisions, was a man drowning in financial debt. By 1974, O'Brien was over $100,000 in debt. His car was about to be repossessed. His house was about to be foreclosed, and he had switched jobs more than 20 times in 10 years. So he decided to do something unthinkable. On Halloween night of 1974, O'Brien took his two children, Timothy and Elizabeth, trick-or-treating with a neighbor's kids. Everything was going normally. The streets were filled with kids, and the baskets were filled with candies. Then they came to one house where no one answered the door, and after multiple knocks, the group decided to leave. But O'Brien stayed behind. When he later rejoined the group, O'Brien had 5 giant Pixie Stix candies with him. He handed them out, 2 to his neighbor's children, 1 to Elizabeth, 1 to Timothy, and the last to another boy from church. No one knew that he had tampered with the candies. The tops were cut open, refilled with potassium cyanide, and resealed with staples. And each tube contained enough poison to kill multiple adults. What a monster. That night, when Timothy, his 8-year-old son, asked for a piece of candy before bed, O'Brien encouraged him to pick the Pixie Stix. Yes, he told his son to eat the poisonous candy. After eating the candy, Timothy complained that it tasted bitter, so O'Brien gave him Kool-Aid to wash it down. Within minutes, Timothy began vomiting violently and collapsed in his father's arms. And less than an hour later, the 8-year-old was dead on his way to the hospital. At first, O'Brien acted out like he couldn't remember which house gave him the candy. But as detectives pressed, his story came out to the world. No neighbors reported giving out Pixie Stix that night. The closed house I mentioned before, turns out that the man who lived there, whom O'Brien accused of handing him the candies, was proven to have been at work all evening, with more than 200 witnesses confirming it. The police soon uncovered O'Brien's truth. They discovered that he was obsessed with cyanide, asking colleagues and chemical suppliers how much it would take to kill. And more damning, he had recently taken out multiple life insurance policies on his children, totaling $100,000, the exact amount he owed in debt. In November 1974, O'Brien was arrested for his son's murder, and the jury took just 46 minutes to find him guilty of capital murder and attempted murder for the other poisoned children. He was sentenced to death. And finally, on March 31st, 1984, Ronald O'Brien was executed by lethal injection. But O'Brien's crime left a scar far beyond his family. His act fueled decades of fear that strangers were slipping poison or razor blades into Halloween candy. Parents everywhere began checking their children's treats, x-raying candy, and warning them about the dangers of trick-or-treating. The Green Man. If you've spent some time in western Pennsylvania, you've probably heard some version of an urban legend about a strange figure lurking along dark country roads, especially at night. Many locals reported that they saw a man walking the dark road, one foot on the pavement and the other on the gravel. It wasn't a ghost exactly, but not entirely from this world either. After many sightings, the locals gave him a name. They call him the Green Man. There are a lot of different variations of this story, but what remains common between all the variations is that the Green Man had no face. The most common version of the story is that the Green Man is a ghost, a faceless spirit haunting the dark country roads near Coppell, Pennsylvania. In this version, he's said to wander aimlessly at night, looking for victims to reclaim his lost face. And if you stare too long into his glowing features, you'll be cursed or die soon after. In other versions, people say he was burned in a power plant explosion or radioactive mishap which made his skin glow green. This version explains the green in his nickname, connecting it to nuclear energy or chemical waste. Or he's imagined as a factory worker electrocuted on the job, whose ghost now haunts the road. When we trace these stories to their origin, they point us toward one real figure, Raymond Theodore Robinson. In June 1919, 8-year-old Ray was walking in the woods when he approached a trolley bridge. He saw a bird's nest, and he climbed the trolley bridge near Beaver Falls to peek into the nest. While climbing, he accidentally grabbed a live wire, which carried high voltage for the trolley and was catastrophically electrocuted. He was rushed to the hospital, and even doctors couldn't believe he would survive. But against all odds, he managed to survive against doctors' expectations. But due to high voltage in the wire, going anywhere between 1200 and 22,000 volts, Ray lost his eyes, nose, and much of one arm, with heavy scarring to his face. It was nothing less than a miracle. Because his appearance drew stares and sometimes panic in the public, Ray restricted himself to staying home during the daytime. And at night, he would long walk along a quiet stretch of Pennsylvania route near his home in Coppell, the very place where people said they saw the Green Man. And yeah, to make things clear, his skin wasn't green. He was a normal human being like you and me. The green in his name comes from the electrical shock he suffered. As the urban legend spread throughout the town, groups of locals regularly gathered to search for him, walking along the road. If you were kind, Ray might chat, pose for a photo, or accept an unopened beer or pack of cigarettes. People who actually met him usually came away saying the same thing. He was gentle, friendly, and sharp as a tack. And finally, he stopped his walks during the last years of his life and retired to the Beaver County Geriatric Center, where he died in 1985 at the age of 74. So, the Green Man wasn't a ghost or a prisoner who escaped. He was just an innocent man with a cruel childhood accident that changed his life forever. Through several generations, Robinson's story has been passed on so many times that his name and his real history have been overshadowed by the ghost story that grew out of them. So, if you liked the video, hit the like and subscribe button. Share the video with your friends, and let me know in the comments if I should continue this series about urban legends and what you guys want to watch next.